I truly believe that probably 99.9999999% of people that even think about the record business do not know this, and that 95% of artists and at least like entry-level managers don't really know this. So I'd say before streaming blew up in 2015, I mean, the goal was to get a record deal. Everyone wants to get a record deal. It's been, probably since the 1950s all the way through the 2000s. If you want to make it as an artist, you need to get a record deal. They were the gatekeepers that controlled radio, got you in stores, got you on MTV, everything like that. But it's always been known that like record labels are shady and they rape you financially, and it's like selling your soul, whatever. But no one really knew the financial breakdown of that. So I think what's most shocking I'll tell you about is the format of an entry level record deal is essentially the worst bank loan in the history of bank loans.
So talk me through that.
Sure. So this is, think of it this way. Say you got a hot song, you got a super hot song, you're a brand new artist, and you want to get signed to a record deal, and they're going to give you a $1 million advance. So obviously everyone's thrilled. You get $1 million. The $1 million advance, and you're going to get something standard would be like an 87-13 split, which already sounds terrible. So think of it this way. You're thinking that out of the profits, the record label is going to make 87%, and you're going to make 13. Sometimes it's a lot lower than that, but that's pretty standard. So what do you assume that means? You got $1 million. What do you assume that means?
So right off the bat, you say 87-13 split.
Yeah.
So you get $1 million.
Sure.
I would assume if you turn that $1 million into $2 million, so you have $1 million profit.
Sure.
I would assume that they get 870,000, and you get 130,000.
Question for you: does that sound good or does it sound terrible?
Depends. I mean, if you need the money, you need the money. Because the two ways to look at it would be, one, would you have been able to make that $1 million profit without them and without their capital,
Sure.
and without their resources, or could you have done that on your own?
Whatever. It's an open discussion. The part is you're 100% wrong. That's not the way it works.
Right.
It's not the way it works at all. I had a friend who was worked in music forever and just learned this through a TikTok. They recoup the $1 million out of the 13% royalty, which makes no fucking sense at all. So hear me out. Essentially, the record label, in order for you to become out of debt for your $1 million, the record label has to make $7.7 million, and then you start profiting. For every $1 million, then they take 870 and you take 130. So essentially, they will make $10 million before you make $2 million.
Yep. So let's walk back a little bit.
Sure.
So first, where does that 7.7 number come from?
Sales. And who the fuck is gonna, most artists are never gonna hit that. So essentially, an artist can have a #1 hit song on the radio and be touring like crazy and be in debt.
Right, but
that's the model.
But even though why? So my example,
sure,
they give you $1 million, you make $1 million. Why do they not get the 870,000? You get the 130. Why does it start at like 7 million?
Because it's recouping out of the 13%. So essentially, the 83, no matter what, the 87, no matter what, always goes to them. So essentially, the 13% has to add up to $1 million.
Gotcha,
13% of 7.
So gotcha.